Snow fell like dust on the broken streets of the alien refugee colony. The sky was dark. Wind screamed between metal buildings, and every corner smelled of hunger, sickness, and fear. Jera held her 2 children close, wrapping them in a thin, dirty blanket. Her arms shook, her lips were blue. She had not eaten in 2 days, but her children needed the last of the food. Her youngest, a small girl with bright purple eyes, cried softly. Jera whispered, holding her tighter. It will be okay, little star. But even she didn't believe her own words. Jera was a widow. Her mate, a soldier, had died months ago in the war. Since then, no one wanted her. Her husband's clan threw her out, saying she was now useless. Other aliens looked down on her. Some offered her work, but only in cruel, dirty jobs no mother could accept. Many just wanted to buy her as a pleasure slave. She refused them all. Now, she stood near the gates of the spaceport, where travelers came and went. Maybe someone would take pity. Maybe someone would help. Her feet were numb. Her fingers were stiff. The cold was too strong. Her daughter's breathing became weak. She looked up at the people passing, aliens of all kinds, dressed in warm clothes. No one even looked at her. Then she saw him. A tall man with broad shoulders, wearing a brown jacket and carrying a travel bag. His skin was pale. His eyes were sharp. He was a human. Jera had heard of humans. Some said they were kind. Some said they were violent. But all agreed they were strange, different. She stepped in front of him, shaking. Her knees were weak, but she forced herself to speak. Please. Wait, she said, her voice barely a whisper. The human stopped and looked at her. His face showed confusion, then concern. My children, Jera said. They will die tonight. Please, take me. Take me as your wife. The man blinked. What? I will be yours. Not for love, not for joy. Just so they can live. I can clean, cook. I can be silent. I can sleep on the floor. Just don't leave us. The human looked down at the 2 children. The boy, maybe 7 years old, stared up at him with tired, wide eyes. The girl didn't even move, only shivered. The man's jaw tightened. He didn't speak for a few seconds. Then he slowly knelt and picked up the small girl into his arms. She was light, too light. He looked at Jera. What's your name? He asked. Jera, she said. I'm Jake, he replied. You're coming with me. Hope hit her like fire, but it was short-lived. 2 station guards stepped forward. One pointed his weapon at Jake. Human! The guard shouted, You can't take strays off the street. They don't belong to you. Jake stood straight, holding the child protectively. I've claimed her under Galactic Code 17B. She's mine now, Jake said calmly. The guards looked at each other. She's a widow. No one claimed her before, Jake added. Check the law. One of the guards stepped back and opened a terminal, typing quickly. The other kept his gun raised. Jera held her son close, watching everything with wide eyes. Her heart raced. Was Jake really helping her, or just saying nice things to get what he wanted later? After a tense minute, the guard at the terminal looked up. He's right, he said. There's a loophole. If he claims her as a wife, it's legal. The other guard lowered his weapon slowly. You better not sell them later, human. Jake didn't answer. He just nodded and walked forward, holding the little girl in one arm. Jera followed quickly, holding her son's hand. They walked through the gates together. As snow continued to fall, Jera didn't know where he was taking them. She didn't know what he truly wanted, but tonight, her children would not freeze. And that was enough. The door hissed open with a cold metallic sound. Jera stepped inside the human's ship for the first time, her heart pounding. The lights were dim. Everything smelled strange, like metal, fire, and something warm. She held her son's hand tightly while Jake carried her sleeping daughter in silence. She expected a cage, or chains, or cold floors. But instead, The room was warm. Blankets were folded on a small bed. There were towels, food packs, and even a little stuffed animal lying in the corner, something soft, shaped like a bear. Jake placed the little girl gently on the bed and turned to her. "You can rest here. I'll sleep outside in the pilot seat." Jera looked at him like he was a puzzle she couldn't solve. "You're not going to touch me?" Jake raised an eyebrow. "Do you want me to?" Her eyes widened. "No, then why would I?" Jera didn't answer. No man had ever said that before. Jake turned and walked out of the room, leaving her stunned. She sat down slowly. Her son crawled beside his sister and fell asleep almost at once. But Jera couldn't sleep. Not yet. Something wasn't right. No. One helps for free. 2 hours later. Jera crept out of the room. The hallway was quiet. She followed the sound of low voices coming from the cockpit. She peeked around the corner. Jake was speaking on a small comm device. His voice was low, almost a whisper. "I found her," he said. "Yes, with 2 kids, I know, not ideal." Jera's heart dropped. So this was the truth. He was reporting her, maybe selling her. Just like the others. She took a step back, but her foot hit a metal can and made a sharp clang. Jake turned quickly. He saw her. Jera froze, ready to run back to the children. But Jake didn't shout. He didn't grab her. Instead, he ended the call and stood up slowly. "You heard that?" he asked. She nodded. Her body was tense like a trapped animal. Jake sighed and sat down on a small chair. "You think I'm selling you?" "I don't know," she whispered. Jake looked at her for a long time. Then he spoke quietly. "That was my brother. I told him I found someone who needs help. But I didn't expect her to come with 2 hungry kids and a mountain of sadness in her eyes." Jera didn't speak. "I didn't know what I was getting into," Jake added. "But I'm not backing out." Jera frowned. "Why help me?" "What do you want from me?" Jake leaned forward. "What if I told you I lost someone too? A wife, a child, long ago, and I swore if I ever got a second chance to protect someone, I'd take it." Jera's eyes filled with tears. She turned to leave, but stopped in the doorway. Quietly she said, "We don't need your bed or your food. Just a little time. A place to breathe. If you give us that, I'll never forget it." Jake smiled. Faintly, "I'm not asking you to forget. I'm asking you to heal." Suddenly, an alert beeped loudly. Jake turned to the screen, and his eyes widened. There was a bounty on his name now. A large one. Someone wanted him dead. Jera stepped closer. "What's wrong?" Jake stared at the screen. "Someone found out I took you in," he said. "And they're not happy." Jera woke to a strange sound. It wasn't the hum of the ship's engines or her children's soft breathing. It was something sharper, like a click, followed by a low whisper. She sat up slowly, careful not to wake her kids. Her ears twitched. There it was again, click, buzz, whisper. "Jake." She rose and stepped quietly into the dark hallway, her bare feet silent on the cold floor. She followed the voice to the back corner of the ship, where the comm room door was slightly open. Inside, blue light glowed against Jake's face. He was talking, but not like before. His voice was harder, colder. "I don't care what they say," he whispered. "She's mine now. She belongs to me." Jera's heart jumped. "What?" She moved closer, holding her breath. "I know the bounty's real," Jake continued. "But I'll handle it. Just tell them not to interfere yet. I want her to trust me first." Her chest tightened. Her vision blurred. So this was the truth, she thought. He fooled me. He's just like the others. She stepped back too quickly and her elbow hit a pipe. Clank. The voice stopped. Footsteps. The door opened. Jake stood there, surprised. "You're awake?" Jera said nothing. She turned to walk away, but Jake grabbed her wrist, not hard, but firm. "What did you hear?" She looked up at him, eyes burning. "All I needed to." Jake's jaw clenched. It's not what you think. It never is, she snapped. You said you'd protect us. And now I hear you telling someone I'm yours, like I'm a pet. Jake ran a hand through his hair. He looked tired. Let me explain. Jera pulled her arm away. I've heard enough lies. If you plan to sell us, just do it now. Suddenly, a tiny voice behind them said, Mama. Jera turned. Her son stood there in the hallway, rubbing his eyes. He looked scared. Jake stepped back and raised both hands. Jera, please. I'm not your enemy. She hugged her son tightly. Eyes still locked on Jake. Then prove it. She said coldly. Scene shift. Later that morning, Jake placed a hot drink in front of Jera. She didn't touch it. He sat across from her. I used those words on purpose. He said, because the people listening on the other end, they work for her dead husband's clan. They placed the bounty. Jera blinked. You're talking to my old in-laws? Jake nodded. They want you back. Not because they care, but because you belong to their family's name. A name they don't want to be shamed. Jera looked down at the table. Jake continued. If I spoke kindly, they'd know I was protecting you. So I said what they wanted to hear to buy us time. Silence. Then Jera finally spoke. Why risk this for me? Jake's voice softened. Because I've seen what happens to women like you. And I'm tired of looking away. End of Part 3 cliffhanger. Suddenly, a warning siren blared through the ship. Jake jumped up. Jera grabbed her son and ran to her daughter. A red alert flashed on the wall screen. Incoming ship. Hostile signal. Weapons locked. Jake's voice went dark. They found us. The blast shook the ship. Jera screamed and fell over her daughter as sparks rained from the ceiling. Jake pulled hard on the controls in the cockpit, yelling over the sirens. Hold on, they're trying to board us. The enemy ship was faster, heavier, and angry. Red lights flashed across the console as another shot hit the rear thruster. Jera grabbed her children and ran toward Jake. What do we do? Jake looked back, eyes sharp with fear. If they get in, we're all finished. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the comms, deep, cruel, and familiar. Return the widow. Return the children. The human can leave or die. Jera froze. She knew that voice. It was her dead husband's brother, Baron Kolrek. Cold, rich. Cruel. He had always hated her. Now he wanted her back. To restore honor. To own her name. And her children. Jake stared at her. That voice, you know him? Jera nodded slowly. He'll kill you. Jake stood up and walked toward her. Let him try. She shook her head. Why are you doing this? You don't know me. Jake looked her in the eyes. I don't need to. I know what he is. Moments later, Jake used emergency thrusters to dive into a nearby asteroid field. The ship rattled, lights flickered, and alarms screamed. Inside the small room, Jera held her kids and whispered a prayer she had not spoken in years. Suddenly, everything went silent. The enemy ship had stopped chasing. Jake's voice came over the intercom. We lost them. For now. Jera exhaled, her hands trembling. She stood, stepped into the cockpit, and looked at Jake. Why did you risk your life for me? For us. Jake didn't answer right away. Then he looked up. Because when I saw you standing in that snow, I saw someone who still had something left to fight for. You were ready to sell your pride, your body, your name just to keep your kids alive. Jera looked down, ashamed. Jake added, and I realized I had nothing to live for. Until I met you. A moment of silence. Then, Jera took a deep breath. I have nothing to offer you, Jake. I am not beautiful. I am not strong. I come with burdens. I have scars that won't heal. Jake stood. You have 2 children who need you, and you're still standing. She. Step closer. I will be your wife. If that's what you truly want, she said quietly. Not because I dream of love, but because you saved my family when no one else would. I can cook, I can clean, I can share your bed. If that's what you expect. Jake looked into her eyes. I don't want a slave. I don't want an offer made from fear. Jera whispered, Then what do you want? Jake's voice was calm, but strong, a choice. Asterisk before she could reply, the ship's console blinked again. This time, a silent signal. Jake read the screen, and his face turned pale. What is it? Jera asked, stepping forward. Jake whispered, There's a bounty on me, a big one. She frowned. From Kolrek? Jake shook his head slowly. No. This one's from someone else. Someone human. Asterisk, the stars outside the ship blinked like cold eyes in the dark. Everything was quiet now. Too quiet. Jera sat beside Jake, watching him scan the strange bounty message again. Her voice was soft. You said it's not from the Baron. Then who? Jake didn't answer. He stared at the screen, jaw tight, hand clenched. Had no name, only a phrase. Deliver the woman alive. Kill the human. Jera's heart pounded. This doesn't make sense. Who else wants me? Jake stood up. We're being hunted. And I don't even know who's paying. Suddenly, the lights on the ship flickered once, twice. Then everything went black. A deep thud shook the floor. Like something had landed on the roof. Jake ran to the console. Emergency power kicked. In with a low hum, Jera grabbed her children and backed into the wall. Jake cursed under his breath. They're on the ship. Jera's eyes widened. Already? He nodded. A stealth boarding. Smart. He opened a storage case and pulled out a blaster. Then another. He tossed one to Jera. She caught it, but her hands trembled. I haven't held a weapon since the war. Jake's eyes met hers. Then it's time to remember. Crash! The ceiling tore open above them. Sparks flew everywhere. Figure dropped through the smoke, a tall, armored alien with glowing eyes. A jagged blade in one hand and a gun in the other. His armor bore no symbol, no flag. Only burn marks and bone. He looked at Jake, then Jera, and laughed. So this is the woman worth so much? The bounty hunter said in a voice like gravel. Jake stepped in front of her. You want her? You go through me. The hunter tilted his head. That's the idea. Fight breaks out. Jake fired first. The hunter moved fast, too fast. He deflected the shot with his blade and fired back, barely missing Jake's shoulder. Jera hid the children behind a crate and shouted, Jake! The hunter moved toward her. Then dash bang. A shot hit his armor. Not from Jake. From ZH era. She had fired. The hunter paused, surprised. Then growled, You shouldn't have done that. Jera didn't flinch. You shouldn't have come here. Jake lunged forward, grabbing a broken pipe and ramming it into the hunter's leg. The alien screamed and staggered. Now! Jake shouted. Jera didn't think. She ran forward, grabbed her daughter, pulled her son close, and followed Jake as he opened the emergency hatch. The ship's air whooshed out as the door opened into a dark cave. Their ship had landed in a rocky moon crater just before the attack. They jumped. Moments later, the four of them huddled in the cave, cold but alive. Jera's hands were bloody. Jake was limping. The children were silent. Finally, Jera turned to Jake. You were ready to die for us. Jake gave a tired smile. I still am. Asterisk. Then her son spoke for the first time in hours. He pointed toward the edge of the cave. Mama, someone's coming. Jera turned slowly. Another figure approached in the dark alone, unarmed, but glowing with blue fire. Jake raised his weapon again, but Jera whispered, stunned, That's not a bounty hunter. She stepped forward. That's my sister. Jera hadn't seen her sister in 5 years, not since the war, not since the betrayal. The figure stepped into the cave's faint light. Her cloak was torn, and blue energy pulsed softly beneath her skin. Her eyes, once gentle, now burned with power. Jera stood frozen. Leica? The woman nodded. You've changed, sister. Jera stepped forward, heart racing. I thought you were dead. I was, Leica said simply. Until I decided not to be. Jake stepped between them. She came out of nowhere. Can we trust her? Jera held up a hand. She's my blood. But even blood can betray. Leica chuckled softly. Still sharp, I see. She looked at the children and lowered her hood. You've become a mother. I didn't expect that. Jera frowned. Why are you here? Leica's smile faded. To warn you. Kolrek isn't just sending hunters. He's activated the old code. Jake raised an eyebrow. What's that? Leica looked at him. It means your life is no longer your own. Anyone, criminal, soldier, even citizens, can kill him. She pointed to Jake, and claim the reward. Jake muttered. Great. Later, inside the cave, Jake rested against the wall, cleaning his wound. Jera sat nearby, watching her children sleep on a bed of soft fabric Leica had pulled from her satchel. Zahara turned to her sister. Why are you really here? You hated my husband. You hated me for marrying him. Leica looked at the children. I hated that you gave up who you were. You were strong, Jera, a fighter, a leader, and you let them turn you into a house pet. Jera's eyes burned. I did what I had to protect my children. No, Leica said. You did what you were told. But now you're different. I saw you shoot that hunter. You're waking up. Jera's hands clenched. Something inside her shifted. She looked at her blaster, then at her children, then at Jake. She stood up slowly. Where's the nearest tower? Jake blinked. Why? She looked at him. Her voice was steady. I'm ending this. Kolrek wants to own my life. Then I'll show him what it costs. Jake stood wincing. You want to fight? Jera nodded. No more running. Leica handed her a small glowing device. Then take this. It's not just a weapon. It's a signal. Jera looked at it. For what? Leica smiled. For others like you, widows, outcasts, slaves. You light this, and they'll come. Jera stared at the device, heart pounding. For the first time in years, she felt powerful. The signal lit up the sky. A streak of violet light burst from the canyon like a star screaming into the heavens. Jera stood at the edge of the cliff, holding the beacon high above her head. Wind roared around her, whipping her cloak behind her like wings. Her face was calm. Below, Jake, Leica, and the children waited near the ship. The cave behind them was silent now. The danger had passed, but a storm was coming. Jera turned to Jake. They'll come, she said. Kolrek's hunters, his enforcers. Maybe even Kolrek himself. Jake walked up beside her. And we'll face them, together. Jera nodded. But then she looked at him with eyes no longer filled with fear, but with fire. No, she said. I will face them. This ends with me. Jake opened his mouth to speak, but paused. He saw it now. She wasn't the broken widow in the snow anymore. She was something else. Hours later, the ships came one by one, dark and heavy across the sky. Kolrek's banners burned red on their wings. Dozens of armed warriors dropped from the sky, surrounding the valley where Jera waited, her children hidden, Jake by her side. Then, one final ship landed. From it stepped a tall, wide figure in gold and black armor. Baron Kolrek. He sneered. You called me with a signal, widow. I expected begging, not bravery. Jera stepped forward, calm and strong. You expected a servant. But I'm a soldier. Kolrek's laugh echoed. You belong to my bloodline. You have no rights. Jera raised her blaster and her voice. I buried my husband. I raised our children alone. I begged strangers for mercy while your people spat on me. She looked around, but I'm not alone now. Suddenly, a sound came from the cliffs above. Dozens of figures stepped into view, alien women, some with scars, some with weapons, others holding their own children, outcasts, survivors. Her signal had worked. Kolrak soldiers hesitated. Jera raised her voice again. I may have nothing, but we have each other now. And if you want me, you'll have to bury every single one of us. Tension broke like a cracking sky. Jake stepped beside her, and for once, Kolrak didn't laugh. He turned to his men, then to everyone's shock he stepped back. Leave them, he growled. They're not worth the blood. One by one, the soldiers vanished into the sky. Jera fell to her knees, her body shaking, but not with fear. With relief. It was over. She had stood her ground, and won. Later, Jake's ship soared across a quiet sky. Inside, Jera sat at the table with her children. They were laughing for the first time in weeks. Jake entered the room with a soft smile. We're almost home. Jera looked up. Where is home? He sat across from her. Wherever you feel safe. Jera reached across the table and gently took his hand. Then, it's with you. Jake smiled. Are you sure? You don't owe me anything. She squeezed his hand, eyes soft. I know, she said. That's why I choose it. Asterisk on a peaceful green planet. Jera stepped off the ship with her children. They looked around in awe at the quiet hills and bright skies. Small house waited on the hill. Clean, simple, safe. Jera turned to Jake. Is this really ours? Jake nodded. It's not much, but it's yours, all of it. Jera smiled. Real smile. She bent down, kissed her children, and whispered, We're not poor anymore. We're not alone. We're home.